Welcome, everyone, brothers and sisters. Stick around because this is going to be a good video. I'm going to talk about the Duala people from Cameroon, and I want to prove that they're Israelites of the Bible. They are the children of God, along with the other Bantus and the West Africans. And not only that, but their God, Yahweh, is none other than Yahweh, the God of the Old Testament of the Bible. Let me say that again. The Duala people of Cameroon are Israelites, children of God, and their God, Yahweh, is the same God as Yahweh of the Bible. So let's get started. Now, first, I would like to say that the Bible tells us where the Israelites would be. Think about the Bible. The Israelites went to Egypt. Moses went to Egypt. Father Abraham went to Egypt, and Ethiopia. The Bible is around Ethiopia, the land of Canaan, which is where the Canaanites were black people. The Egyptians were black people. The land of Canaan, where Israel that later became the land of Israel, is on the African continental plate. So when we look at the truth of the matters, it puts us in Africa, the Bible itself. So if in Zephaniah chapter 3, verse 10, the Old Testament says, it's a prophecy and it speaks about Yahweh, Almighty God Yahweh, coming back to gather his people from the lands beyond the rivers of Ethiopia. So, with knowledge of where the rivers of Ethiopia are, the Israelites had, when they went into Africa, they had to go through Egypt, Ethiopia, Sudan, Somalia, places like that. They went through, and so when you realize they were beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, even now, that's well into Africa. And so the Bible tells you then about the Israelites that would be well into Africa then. There were Israelites. And so when you look at it, the Bantu expansion or the Bantu migration, what it really is it's the migration of the Israelites into Africa throughout many centuries. It took many centuries because Africa is huge. It is known that the United States could fit into Africa over 4 times. So Africa's huge, and on foot, it would take a very long time for that many thousands, millions of people to go across Africa. So eventually, the Bantus made themselves. They went across, went to the north, and every place where they went, some settled and some moved on to other places. They ended up on the west coast of Africa, from the area where the slavery from where slaves were taken from in the transatlantic slave trade, from Senegal, West Africa, all the way down to Angola. Slaves were taken, and that includes Cameroon in that area. And so you realize that all those people, because see, there was no one else there. Many places where the Bantus went, there were maybe what would be called the Bushmen. There were the, I don't know if it's okay what people call them, what we call the pygmies were there. But when the it was said that when the Bantus went into Africa, there was no one strong enough to stop their expanse. So the Duala people, okay? Now it says this book here, The Hebrew Heritage of Black Africa, is written by Stephen Jacobs, a European Jew. And I recommend this book because it's easy to read, but it has much valuable information in here. It doesn't have all that we need to know about the Duala people, but when you read it, it covers all. When you realize that let me start here, read the front. It says, The Hebrew Heritage of Black Africa. Jacobs, a European Jew and historian, confirms the presence of black Hebrews, Israelites, Jews throughout the length and the breadth of Africa, of the motherland, centuries ago and now. So understand how big this is. It's not a small thing. A lot of people don't realize how many Israelites, Jews are really in Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa especially. Hundreds of millions of the race known as Negroes all across sub-Saharan Africa, from the east to the west, from north to the south, are Israelites. The Bantus are the children of God, and the Duala people are Bantus. Now, in the foreword, it speaks of the man who wrote this book, Stephen Jacobs, has beyond the shadow of a doubt fully documented in this book the Hebrew heritage of Black Africa, that the Hebrews, Israelites, Jews of biblical times were of the black race and lived on the African and Asian Middle East continents of the world. Okay, let's go to the third paragraph. This book is a must read for people of all races and belief systems, for it satisfies a need to dispel the lies. Now, listen, this is a European Jew who wrote this. Okay, let me start again. This book is a must read for the people of all races and belief systems, for it satisfies the need to dispel the lies which have enveloped the minds of the masses into believing that the white European Jews are the original people of the book. So he's telling you those people are not the original people of the book. Guess who are? We are. Now listen. Uh, I'm sorry. Let me start here. For it satisfies the need to believe, to dispel the lies which have enveloped the minds of masses into believing that the white European Jews are the original people of the book, and that the chosen people of God expressed throughout the Bible. More and more white Jews, especially the older ones, are acknowledging in secret to those of us who already know that the original Jews were black. Okay, so scores of authors, black and white, have now written extensively over the last 50 or more years on the subject of the presence of black Hebrew Israelites, not only on the continents of Africa and Asia, but other continents as well. Okay, so now, so before I continue, I want to tell you something very important. There is a professor. His name is Professor Tudor Parfit, and he's one of the foremost experts on Judaism and Black Jews in Africa. In fact, he made a book called Black Jews in Africa and the Americas. And a woman asked him he was talking about the history of the Jews and the history of the Black Jews, the Israelites. And a woman asked him, she said, who are the real Jews today? Who are the real Jews? And he answered, the race known as Negroes. Okay, he said, Negroes are Jews and Jews are Negroes. Okay, Negroes are Jews and Jews are Negroes. So the race of Negroes, it's not everybody. It's the West African and Bantu related people, the ones who speak the Niger Congo languages. The people of the Bantu expansion, they are the true Negroes. It's a specific type of black person. There may be black people who have similar features, but we're different. They can tell by the shapes of our faces and the shapes of our head. It can be told who the Negroes are and who they're not. So the Duala people are in that race as well as all Bantus. So it says they're also called the Sawa people, and they're a Bantu ethnic group of Cameroon. Now, speaking of when I speak of the Duala people, I'm also speaking of the related subgroups up to the Duala as well. Okay, this includes I'm sorry if I'm saying it wrong, Bodiman, Ewodi, Bassa, Pongo, Mungo, Bakweri, Isuwu, Oroko, Bakossi, Balong, and Bo people. They're all Israelites of the Bible, okay? And so the Duala people, let me go. It also says includes the Wavea people and Bamboko, Bakole as well, or all the Bantus who's related to the Duala are Israelites. Now let's go over something here. So in this book and many others, it speaks of the Jews or the Black Israelites throughout Ghana, such as the Ashanti, Nigeria, the Yoruba people, and the Igbo are all related to the Dwala. And going down, it's like the ones the Bakongo and the Baluba people in Congo, the Zulus and people in South Africa, the Shona people are all related. You're all the Israelites of the Bible. So this goes over many places. So let's go quickly into Central Africa. In this book on page 51, it mentions Congo, Angola, and Kenya, much of Bantu Africa, or many or several places in Bantu Africa. But it speaks of, so this book is mainly starts out about the Ashanti, and it proves that the Ashanti people are Israelites. So the author of this book, his point is that once you prove the Ashanti people are Israelites, then you can prove that all other surrounding people of the other nations of the same race are also Israelites. This includes the Duala. It says the Ashanti eventually migrated to the west and roughly parallel to the southern edge of the Sahara Desert. The Bantu, by contrast, moved mainly to the south, so that today they occupy nearly the entire southern half of the continent of the Congo Republic and Zaire on the west to Mozambique on the east, and the southward to the very southernmost tip called the Cape of Good Hope. This also includes Cameroon. Now, it says their significance should not be overlooked historically. Our knowledge of their Hebrew traditions simply confirms and reinforces what we already know about West Africa. The Hebrew strain exists in Black Africa far more extensively than most people realize. Do you hear that? So, this is letting you know all the way across sub Saharan Africa, hundreds of millions of people, Black people known as the race of Negroes, Bantus, are really the children of God. The children of God were always black. They were never white. So in what also is expressed several places in this book, many of the names that the Duala people have and all others, Bantus, this is West Africans, are many of the same names, biblical Israelite names. Many of the names of the places in the countries where where you all live or where they live have Israelite names, biblical names. There are many words, Hebrew words. The Duala people and the other Bantus are speaking Hebrew. You're actually speaking. There's so many Hebrew words that you're speaking, and the God Iwande is perhaps the biggest proof, or one of the biggest proofs of who you are. Listen, Yahweh is the Bible, the God of the Old Testament. Yahweh, Iwandi, is the same as Yahweh. Listen to the similarity. Iwandi. Some people in Africa call him Zambi. The Ashanti call him Yame. Some people call him Jambi. Some people call him Yambe, Jambe. Some people call him Yui. But the one thing is that's certain is that all the people know or knew the supreme being before the Europeans came, because the Duala people, as well as others, the Duala people are Israelites and their God, Iwande. IWonde is Yahweh of the Bible. Peace.